much of what's captured in the book, Paddy, is all about the destroyer archetype and deciding what to preserve and then unleashing the creator archetype in a way. Now, there are millions of businesses that can actually benefit from this, Paddy. Right?
Yeah, see, what you have to realize is the idea that we came up with is not actually new. I think what is new is the method.
True.
Okay, there are people who said, look, and we've seen this, right? I mean, we've worked with a lot with senior executives in the company. And oftentimes happen in companies is they'll take their senior executive and say, let's do an offsite, do a retreat, put them into rooms and say, look, what should we be thinking of doing to innovate?
Correct.
And what should be our wish list and activities for the next 1 year or next 1 to 3 years? Many of these companies are actually some very, very smart people, so they'll come up with a list.
Sure.
But I think the problem that we observed repeatedly was the list was oftentimes very incremental. And it was, okay, this is what got us successful, this is what we need to be doing, but it was sort of fairly risk averse. It was very conservative. They were not willing to step out of their comfort zone. Okay. And this is when you start looking and reading the psychology and the sociology literature, you realize this is about changing people's mindset. The earlier exercise was all about, okay, this is the way I do things. Now I think about that, I think about it. It's sort of, okay, now what do I need to do at the margin? Because my company is still okay. It's not in trouble.
Correct.
And I've seen this in so many companies. I mean, I can talk about it now. I mean, I used to consult for Nokia. This was globally. And, think about the late 2000s. They were going great guns.
Correct.
And if you think about Nokia, I mean, not only were they growing great guns in developing economies, I mean, be it India, Indonesia, Thailand, they were just 60%, 70% market share.
Correct.
And then you ask these guys, what do we need to do differently? They'll say, we need to tweak Symbian this way, we need to do this way. And realize they actually had a smartphone even before Apple came up with a smartphone.
Exactly.
You could have that communicator which out and you could do things.
Correct.
It was cumbersome, and their whole mindset was an operator-driven mindset. What can we do working with the telcos? How do we do it in a way the telcos? Whereas what you had was Apple coming in and saying, look, I'm going to think completely differently. Now you get the Nokia guys to say, look, can you imagine a world of doing business where you don't have an operator? I was like, excuse me, what are you talking about?
Correct.
Can you think of something which doesn't require the Symbian but requires something else? And it turns out, if you look at Nokia's numbers, even after the launch of iPhone, it actually went up for a couple of years. And then obviously it just fell down the cliff.
Absolutely.
So the whole issue that we've seen is the mindset. So it all starts with changing the mindset. That's why we say, look, one way to get them to change the mindset is to say, look, you've been taken out of your old job and you have now given me a new job. And this new job, you have unlimited resources. You're not constrained at all. Best of talent, you have all the money, and you have just one objective. What can you do to kill your old business? And now, if you look at the list of things they come up with, it looks very different from the list they came up with when they went to the offsite retreat, where they were asked, how should we be innovative?
Absolutely.
Okay, and so this goes back. In fact, as I said, this is not a new idea. If you go back to the 70s, there was a very, very wonderful scholar in OB called Jim March, who was actually, I spent 10 years with him when I was at Stanford. He had this wonderful paper which says, managers come of two types. One who have the exploitation mindset and one who have the exploration mindset.
Beautiful.
The exploitation mindsets are people who are saying, what has gotten us this far? And let me see if I can exploit a little bit further. let me milk it for what it is. The engine is working. Let's see what we can. Now, companies need to do this. But what companies need to realize is that this is the only thing they do. In the long run, they will flame out. What they need to do is also create the resources to let the people within the company who are very good at what Jim called exploration to think differently.
Right.
And what a company needs is a mix of both.
Very nice. Very
Each
nice.
by itself is not good enough.
Beautiful.